Adrian N. Breitfelder, City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a regular session of the City Council to be held on Monday, September 16th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. in the Historic Federal Building for the purpose of conducting such business that may properly come before the City Council.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to a regular session of the Dubuque City Council for September 16th, 2024. As a reminder to our participants, you can provide in-person input or virtual audio and written input during the sections of the agenda where public input is accepted. Input options during the live meeting include: in-person attendees may approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any public input on the item they would like to speak to. Remote attendees can log into GoToMeeting using the login links, phone numbers, and access code that appear on the broadcast and live stream and posted on the front page of the meeting agenda. This option includes audio input and written chat input. If you are participating via computer, indicate which item you would like to speak to in the chat function or note that you would like to speak during the appropriate section. If you are participating via phone, indicate which item you would like to speak to during the appropriate section. All comments, whether in person or virtual, must be accompanied by a name and address. Additionally, written public input is accepted by contacting the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/councilcontacts and through the City Clerk's office email at ctyclerk@cityofdubuque.org. This information will be reiterated during the meeting. Attendance for the session is as follows: Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here.
Council members Farber.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Resnick.
Here.
Roussel.
Here.
Sprank.
Here.
Wethel.
Here.
City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
And City Attorney Brumwell.
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Kavanaugh, I will turn it over to you for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Adrian. I invite all who are able to please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
We will move on to consent items. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the consent items, please approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Please state the item you would like removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and consideration. And consent items can be found on pages 2 through 4 of the agenda.
Thank you, Adrian. Do we have anyone here in chambers who would like to remove any of the consent items for separate discussion this evening? Seeing no one, do we have anyone virtually?
No.
Thank you very much.
No input.
Nothing from the City Clerk's office. Okay. Back to the table then.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file the documents, adopt the resolutions, and deal with the consent items as recommended.
Second by Farber.
Got a motion by Resnick, second by Farber. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
We will move on to items set for public hearing. We have 3. First is Iowa Amphitheater on Schmidt Island project, bid package number 1, site demolition and mass grading, initiate public bidding process and setting date for public hearing for October 7th, 2024. Second is proceedings to set public hearing for the issuance of not to exceed $22 million sewer revenue capital loan notes, Old Mill Road Lift Station and Force Main Project, Phase 1, for October 7th, 2024. And third is resolution of necessity for the proposed amended and restated urban renewal plan for the North Cascade Road Housing Urban Renewal Area, version 2024.1, for October 21st, 2024.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sell.
I move to receive and file, adopt the resolutions, and set the public hearings for the dates specified.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Roussel, a second by Wethel. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick. Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
We will move on to boards and commissions. We have applicant review for the Civic Center Advisory Commission and the Community Development Advisory Commission.
Okay, so the Civic Center Advisory Commission, we have one 3-year term through June 29th, 2027, and one applicant, Danielle Jacobs. Do we have anyone here to address us on this application? Seeing no one, and please just let me know if there's anyone virtually. Okay, I'll move on then to the Community Development Advisory Commission, one 3-year term through February of 26, and then another 3-year term through February of 27. We have 2 applicants. The first is Gabriel Mozina. I'm wondering, anyone here to address us on this application? Okay, seeing no one. And then the second is Julie Woodyard. Okay, so we will move on then to public hearings.
At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the public hearing items, please approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input for the public hearing you would like to speak to, and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function and state your question or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input for the public hearing you would like to speak to. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Public hearing number 1 is request to rezone 27 Locust Street.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the communications and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Jones, second by Wethel. Wally, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Wally Wernemott, Planning Services Director. The request before you tonight is to rezone a property at 27 Locust Street and a parking lot from C3 General Commercial to C4 Downtown Commercial. This is a vicinity map that kind of shows the area outlined in the black and white dashes is the proposed property to rezone. This property is directly adjacent to the Bridge Restaurant, and the property owner who purchased the property owns the Bridge Restaurant, came before the City Council to rezone that property from C3 to C4. I'll explain that a little bit more as we move through these images and slides. So this is kind of a street view of the property. The area, or the building that's painted gray, has already been rezoned to C4 Downtown Commercial, and the Bridge Restaurant located to the right. The properties in question for rezoning is the red brick half of the duplex, 27 Locust Street, and then this parking lot that's associated with the property. I do note 19 Locust Street because you did receive a letter of opposition with regards to that property. The project site is composed of 2 lots. As I mentioned, it's a half a duplex, has frontage on Locust Street and Bissell Lane. It's primarily flat, has about a 4% grade change. It's located in a mixed-use neighborhood. As you can see, there's a bunch of adjoining different zoning districts, primarily C3 and C4. And as I noted, I mentioned all the previous land uses that directly adjoin the property. Including in your packet, the property owner, Josh Jansen, provided us an updated renderings. So these came in today with regards to layout for the proposed development. This shows an off-street parking lot located along Bluff Street and Locust Street and the north, what would be the northwest corner of the site, you can see there. And then the building is kind of outlined, located over the Bridge Restaurant, the Bridge Restaurant's parking lot, that proposed duplex and that adjacent parking lot that's associated with that. Including the packet shows underground or first floor parking with ground floor retail located along Locust Street. These are just some renderings of the proposed development that was included in the packet. Again, that's been uploaded. You have a lot more images of this property. So just kind of talk about the differences between C3 and C4. There are several uses that cross between each other. Those are highlighted in yellow. There are a few differences, but really the biggest difference between C3 and C4 are multiple. One, a C4 district allows you to go up to 75 feet in height, where a C3 only allows you 40 feet. C4, you don't have a requirement for off-street parking. The downtown, however, this development's proposing parking to meet the demand for the proposed mixed-use development. And then the front yard setback. In a C3 general commercial, it's a 20-foot front yard setback. C4, it's built up to the front property line to kind of keep that building street wall, where the C3 is more highway traffic-oriented type uses where it's set back. Typically, you may have a surface lot located in front of the building. We did notify all property owners within 200 feet of the area to be rezoned. This is just showing that notification boundary map. We did receive some public input. The property owner at 19 Locust Street, Ken Lynn, did provide a letter of opposition. He cited concerns with traffic, parking, potential impacts to the property value for his property at 19 Locust Street. At the meeting, no one spoke in opposition or in favor at the meeting other than the applicant. So by a vote of 4-0, the commission recommends that the City Council approve the rezoning of 27 Locust Street from C3 General commercial to downtown commercial, and a simple majority vote is needed for city council to approve the rezoning of the property. That's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Wally. We are on a public hearing to consider a request from Josh Jansen to rezone 27 Locust Street from C3 General Commercial to C4 Downtown Commercial. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on this item this evening? And just a reminder, name and address, please, before you. No?
My name is Josh Jansen, 11368 Rock Grove Court, Dubuque, Iowa, 52001. I am obviously in favor of this. It is just, going to be really great, I think, putting a lot of extra effort into the design, trying to utilize things like the historic masonry look while also making it a timber frame structure and utilizing everything we can really to try to just impact the community in a good way, because I do feel like this really is the keystone to Dubuque. It's highly visible. I personally can't really think of a more visible project than what this would be, at least for what's coming in the future. The building itself is, around 100 dwelling units, and it is supplying about 110 to 115 on-site parking spaces as well. Other than that, hoping to do a rooftop amenity with it as well, and that's kind of, encroaching in that space and pushing that 75-foot limit to be able to do that. And from the rooftop there, from the southeast, you get the views of the East Dubuque Bridge and the river, and from the northeast, you get views of the Wisconsin Bridge and the river in downtown Dubuque, so you couldn't ask for a better sightline from a project. That's it. Anything else?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Josh, for your comments. Appreciate it. Any other public input on this item? Seeing nothing here, anything virtually?
No. Ken Lynn, 1103 and a half Iowa Street, did submit input.
Okay. Thank you very much, Adrian. Okay. Back to the table then for any discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I think this is an exciting project. I plan to support it. It hits a lot of the targets that we've set and a lot of the goals that we've set over the years. And sounds like it's going to be a pretty spectacular place to live and visit. And replacing a restaurant with a restaurant, nobody's losing anything.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah,
Ms.
Mayor.
Farber. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's great. Thank you very much for the creativity and for taking the time to basically develop this. I think it is great for the downtown corridor, and I think it'll bring some high energy, and I like the fact that you're thinking about future amenities as well. So I look forward to supporting it as well. Thank you again.
Ms. Farber. I'm sorry, Mr. Resnick.
Thank you. So I like the renderings. The renderings are nice. But my question about C4 zoning, is there a possibility, it is a very visible spot, is there a possibility that, that they can put up signs and billboards and other type of things that are in advertising? I've gone into cities and the most prominent spot would be really nice if they didn't have those billboards there. And so I'm just wondering, what are the possibilities for this?
Yeah, sure. So presently, right now, the way the ordinance reads, we have separation requirements from existing billboards. And due to the current location of the two billboards are located going over the Julian Dubuque Bridge, they would not be allowed to have a billboard at this location. We are in the process of updating our Unified Development Code, so that would be further discussion with regards to billboards as we can address as we move forward with it. But presently at this time, a billboard would not be located on that due to the separation requirements from the existing billboards.
And there would be a process that we'd be involved in if there's any kind of change in that?
Oh, most definitely. With the Unified Development Code update, we'll be bringing that through work sessions and code changes and everything like that. It's a 1.5-year process, so yes.
Because if that edifice is what people see right away, I think that's great. I think it's fantastic. And I just hope that it's like that for a long time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Sell.
Thank you. I think this will be a great addition in a very visible location, a really welcoming site to people as they're crossing the bridge. I can understand the person who was concerned about traffic, but it's already such a busy intersection. I'm not sure how much more traffic we'll be dealing with. But I like the thought that's been given to the parking needs and the flow and the multiple uses of the building. Just as Councilmember Jones said, really checks a lot of the boxes that we look for in our developments. So I'm excited about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Ms. Roussel. Ms. Wethel.
As this is in Ward 4, I thought a great deal and communicated with Mr. Lynn after reviewing his statement and concerns. And I can appreciate his concerns regarding his own property and his investment. I do think these situations are difficult because it is such a busy intersection already, and it's really difficult to try and adapt some of what is presently there and imagine what could be there. The imagining is exciting. And the idea that we could have such a strategic location for so much housing is a wonderful thing for Ward 4 and the city of Dubuque. And so I acknowledge Mr. Lynn's concern, his contributions to our community. I do intend to support this tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Wethel. Thank you, Mr. Spring. Wally, I have a question for you. Could you go to page 2 of your presentation, the zoning aspect of it? I think this is the way I could point it out. So that, so Mr. Lynn's property here is a concern, and he's very concerned about it. But the property we're talking about, where you have it outlined there, that's where the end of the property of Mr. Jansen is, right? And then the kitty corner parking lot?
Correct.
Up to the corner? Okay, what's with the parking lot next to at the other, where it says C3 in the bottom right there? Is that part of this development or not?
That is not part of the development. That is actually land that's owned by the city of Dubuque and the Iowa DOT. Those have been acquired for the future Julian Dubuque Bridge that's going to go across. So the DOT will be working with the city for the second span, or however that bridge is going to be designed. They've acquired that land for those future improvements. So.
Okay. That's helpful. I'm a little bit curious just about, so parcel number 19 that's right there, which is, we know is Mr. Lynn's property. What happens in situations like this? I mean, do we have other examples of this in the city where a property owner gets a bit hemmed in these situations and kind of ends up in a just sort of in between, really tight fitting other districts that are there and other projects that are there? I've just been trying to envision other places where this might be happening and what we can think about as we do this for zoning.
Yeah, sure. So for adaptive change in use, this is a mixed-use development area. Just to let you know, if that were to remain C3, he could build exactly what he wants to build. He'd just be limited to the 40-foot height requirement and 20-foot back. So he could build it in the same location, just 20-foot back and 40-foot in height. He could go to the zoning board of adjustment and apply for some variances for that. Actually, it's more ideal to rezone to C4 downtown commercial. As we look at our downtown, we have a lot of vacant buildings, right? We have a lot of office space because of COVID and people working from home. In order to keep that vibrant downtown, we're looking at trying to get more housing in our community, more residents as we try to grow our population, which is the city council of goal to move forward with that. But as we look at these developments, this is usually where we have larger scale mixed-use development butts up against single family. Those are usually the big questions, right? We just had one on Cedar Cross Road. And over time, areas are changing and evolving. And those are the tough questions. Like you said, Katie, you talked to Ken with regards to the development. I personally think of this as an opportunity for Ken's property. It's going to bring a lot more people to the doorfront of this property, especially with mixed-use development. There is some other potential opportunities to provide more parking in the area as they look at maybe some street reconfigurations for that. But this is one of the busiest intersections in the city of Dubuque with Highway 20 and 61 that they intersect and come over the side of the property. So yeah, I mean, there's some concerns, some conditions with regards to that. So.
Well, I think that's helpful contextually, at least. There are areas of the city like this where we haven't seen development like this for a long time. You mentioned Cedar Cross is a similar type of situation. We had a very similar conversation, and we talked about that. And we haven't seen development like this with these major changes that are coming. And I think, especially when you think the Bridge Restaurant, we had that discussion, we were talking about what this really looks like. So I think part of this is just the fact that this is going to change pretty dramatically from what it has been. But I do think it's going to change for the better. I don't think there's a whole lot of argument about that. I mean, this is actually going to be a very, Mr. Jansen, you called it a keystone to Dubuque. That's an interesting term because it really is, it's the front door. It's just driving right into the front door of what we're seeing. And I think for somebody to have the vision to be able to do this and then to be able to do it in a way that is going to fit so well for that spot, I think is really important. So hopefully, as with all of these rezonings, as we talk about them, when there is some opposition, I hope you can work well with your neighbors to be able to make this happen in a way that works most effectively for everybody. Even though sometimes it's not entirely possible for everybody to get what they want, it's important that we try to keep things civil and try to work together. So hopefully we're able to do that in this process too. In our case, it sounds to me like we have a lot of support, and I support this as well. I think it's an important project, and I think that this is actually an appropriate rezoning in this particular situation. Okay, everybody had their chance to speak, so a motion here is to receive and file, waive the 3 readings. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Jones, second by Wethel. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 2 is request to rezone 1090 Radford Road.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file, and further move that a requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Sprank.
Got a motion by Roussel, second by Sprank. Wally, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Wally Wernemott, Planning Services Director. The property in question is at 1090 Radford Road. It's the request to rezone from commercial service and wholesale to R3 moderate density multifamily residential. This map here shows the area in question. Once again, it's the black and white dashed outlined area. I think there was some confusion when it was published, that 1090, all of 1090 is going to be rezoned. It's actually only the portion that is outlined in that area, and I'll talk about that here as we move through the slides, but it's directly adjacent to C3. We have commercial service, and there's an existing R3 district that abuts the property. One thing to note is that most of the property lies outside of the floodway, and if there was a concern that the remaining portion were to be developed, the area that's hashed in the light blue is actually floodway property, which really we do not allow any development to happen in the floodway. That's where, if we have a flooding event, that's where the active waters are passing through. The area shaded in blue is the 1-year floodplain where someone could develop and place fill. But a majority of the site actually drops off and it goes down to the railroad tracks where the creek body that goes through there. So we're only talking about the area that's dashed line there for the rezoning. The site is 1.29 acres. Once again, it's a portion of 1090 Radford Road. And what they're looking at doing is, if they get approval for the rezoning, they're going to plat off that dashed line area and then consolidate it with 1070, which is the R3 property that's already zoned for that expansion. And it'd be, they'll have frontage along Radford Road. It'd all be zoned the same property. So the property owner who's doing this actually owns 1090, who has a commercial development at that location. And they're looking at building a home, so they want to live and work in the same area for that. So that's what they're looking at for the rezoning. The intention is for a single-family home, although an R3 does allow up to 6 units. They looked at just rezoning it to R3 because it's an expansion of existing district and not just creating an R1 zone surrounded by existing properties. These are all the permitted uses. This would actually be considered a down zone from all the permitted uses that are located in the commercial service district versus what's allowed in an R3 district, which basically just allows you, most of your residential uses and up to single-family duplexes and up to a 6-plex. Here's our notification map. We did notify everyone within 200 feet of the area to be rezoned. And from public input, we received 2 letters, one from Michael and Cynthia Kobush at 4655 Old Highway Road, and Chad and Jessica Bliley at 4905 Old Highway Road. Some of those, once again, if you read through the packet, one concern was having 209 or 201 units on the site, which is just not physically possible with regards to that. And the other concern was additional traffic that may be generated in the neighborhood. Old Highway Road is a minor arterial already coming off of US 20. This is actually going to be located on a dead-end street where Radford Road used to connect through and go through a viaduct to the industrial park. That has since been blocked off, so there is no connection. It just goes down to a dead-end portion of the property. So by a vote of 3-0, the commission recommends that the city council approve the rezoning of 1090 Radford Road from commercial service and wholesale to R3 moderate density multifamily residential. A simple majority vote is needed for the city council to approve the rezoning of the property. And that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
All right, thank you, Wally. We are in a public hearing to consider a request from Luke Hoffman, Kelhoff Properties LLC, to rezone a portion of 1090 Radford Road from CS Commercial Service to wholesale to R3 Moderate Density Multifamily Residential. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on this item this evening? Seeing no one here, anything virtually? Thank you, Corey.
No input.
Thank you, Adrian. All right, back to the table then for discussion. Mr. Resnick.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. So, Wally, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Wernemann, how many people do we have room for on the Zoning Advisory Commission at full staff?
At full staff, there's 7 members.
So is there a 4-person quorum needed?
So that's a unique question that got brought up. So typically, we amended to a text amendment with regards to providing a recommendation. They're an advisory body that provides a recommendation. So typically, you look at 4 members for a quorum to conduct business. However, it's a simple majority vote that provides the recommendation. Historically, prior to about 10 years ago, it used to be that we would have 4 members vote and provide a recommendation. That was amended and approved by this body to allow a member who may have a conflict of interest, who would have to abstain from the request, which is what happened with this, to still be counted as part of that quorum for conducting the business. However, they could just take the majority vote of the members present. So I'm glad you brought that question up. Does that help explain it a little bit? This is like the first time we really had a three vote recommendation.
Yes, I wish I read it and it didn't say that somebody abstained. It just said 3-0. So there were 4 people there.
Yes.
Okay, and is there a minimum number of votes to, we're down to 3-0. What about 2 or 1-0?
Simple majority vote. So in order to conduct business, if it's a 2-2 vote, it comes through as a recommended denial. I don't foresee us getting down to 1 vote or 2 votes in those situations. It's just that we had 4 members that were present and 1 person had a conflict because their engineering firm is involved with the plating on this property.
Okay, thank you. So there was a quorum and it was a 3-0 majority vote.
Yep. And just once again, they provide a recommendation. You are the approving body with regards to that. If it was a zoning board of adjustment or case, they have very stringent requirements of exactly how many members have to be present to vote for that.
I get it. I just think the citizens deserve more people to talk and make their case to. All right, thank you.
And I'm just going to do a shameless pitch. We have 1 position open on the Zoning Advisory Commission if people would like to join.
Very opportunistic. Well done. Other discussion? All right, seeing no discussion or questions, this seems appropriate to me. I definitely plan to support it, especially since it's matching the other zoning that's there kind of at the end of the property. Appreciate that the questions and concerns that residents had were answered very adequately, I think, within the Zoning Advisory Commission meeting. Okay, motion here is to receive and file, waive the 3 readings. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber. Resnick. Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye. To 7-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Sprank.
Motion by Roussel, second by Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 3 is request to rezone 1142 University Avenue.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the communications and further move that the requirement that proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Farber.
Motion by Jones, second by Farber. Wally again, please.
Yes. Wally Wermat, Planning Services Director. The request before you tonight is to rezone property from C2 Neighborhood Shopping Center to R2 Two-Family Residential Zoning District. This is a straight rezoning. It is actually a home that was built as a residence that's directly adjacent to an existing R2 district and the C2 district up on University Avenue. The first floor used to be residential, however, that was converted to commercial, which was permitted in a C2 district. The property owner now is proposing to take that commercial property and go back to a residence on the first floor. And in the C2 district, residential use is not allowed on the first floor. So they're proposing to rezone it to just allow it as a duplex, which is the adjoining property. It is pretty much a straight rezoning and expansion of existing R2 district with regards to that. The Zoning Advisory Commission held a public hearing. Staff explained the historical nature of the rezoning of the property and the land uses that are involved. And by a vote of 4-0, the Zoning Advisory Commission recommends that the City Council approve the request. And a simple majority vote is needed for City Council to approve the request. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Wally. We are in a public hearing to consider a request from Craig Nestaby to rezone 1142 University Avenue from C2 Neighborhood Shopping Center to R2 Two-Family Residential Zoning District. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on this item? Seeing no one here. Anyone virtually?
No.
Thank you.
No input.
Thank you. All right, back to the table then for any discussion. Seeing none. Hearing none. Motion on the table is to receive and file and waive the 3 readings. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber. Resnick. Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
To 7-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Farber.
Motion by Jones, second by Farber. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick. Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 4 is proposed development agreement between the City of Dubuque, Iowa and Kinseth Hospitality Company Incorporated.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second.
A motion by Resnick and a second by Jones. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Economic Development Director Jill Connors is recommending City Council approval of the proposed development agreement between the City of Dubuque and Kinseth Hospitality Company Incorporated. Kinseth Hospitality is the developer of 3 existing hotel properties in the City of Dubuque: the Hampton Inn by Hilton, the Town Place Suites by Marriott in the historic Millwork District, recently built and opened in December 2018, and the Downtown Holiday Inn on Main Street. Kinseth Hospitality has a portfolio of over 125 hotels across the country. City staff have been in conversations with Mr. Ben Kinseth for several years about the idea of bringing an additional hotel to the City of Dubuque to be potentially located in the Port of Dubuque. Mr. Kinseth recently proposed the development of 2 hotels, a Courtyard by Marriott, or AC Marriott Hotel, and a Residence Inn by Marriott. The 2 hotels are proposed to be connected by a shared check-in desk and other shared amenities. Staff have recognized the need for additional hotel accommodations in the Port of Dubuque to support the operations of the Grand River Center. It would allow for larger events and conferences that require a hotel within walking distance. Adding multiple brands offers a choice of hotels and potentially different price points depending on the hotel brand. This can be attractive to persons on different budgets. The proposed development agreement includes the following. Kinseth Hospitality will purchase approximately 2 acres of a 12.65 acre site in the Port of Dubuque at $400,000 an acre for a total of approximately $800,000 to be adjusted based on the acreage determined by the final plat. Kinseth Hospitality will construct the 2 hotels with a combined total of approximately 160 rooms at an investment of approximately $30 million. Kinseth Hospitality has until December 31st, 2026 to construct the project with a $50,000 a month penalty if the project is not complete by that date. City and Kinseth Hospitality will execute a mutually agreeable parking agreement to accommodate parking for hotel employees and guests in the surface lot located immediately east of the hotel. City will provide 10 years of tax increment financing rebates. The city agrees to a restrictive covenant prohibiting the city from granting a building permit for the development of any additional hotels or hospitality facilities on the 12.65 acre site until the hotel has obtained a certificate of occupancy or by December 31st, 2026, whichever first occurs. The city has the option to construct streets built to city standards adjacent to the hotel to provide access to accommodate future development of the remainder of the 12.65 acres. On August 14, 2024, when the September 16, 2024 public hearing date was established in compliance with Iowa Code, it provided other potential developers the opportunity to bring forward a competing proposal for development of the property. If a competing proposal was received, the City Council could consider the two proposals and select a proposal it determines is in the best interest of the community. No competing proposals were submitted. There is no hotel developer or hotel operator that knows the Dubuque market better than Kinseth. Not only do they currently operate 3 hotels here in Dubuque, the Downtown Holiday Inn on Main Street, the Town Place Suites in the historic Millwork District, and the Hampton Inn, but they were the last hotel developer to build a new hotel in Dubuque when they built the new Town Place Suites in the historic Millwork District. The Town Place Suites is one of the highest occupancy hotels in the Dubuque market. If Kinseth wants to build 2 new hotels, adding 160 hotel rooms to the Dubuque market, it is because they not only see the current demand, but they see the demand that is being created by all the new projects coming to Dubuque. Kinseth has provided reasons the city would select them as the hotel developer, and they are as follows. Kinseth has the size and scope of operations to develop the properties and amenities as described. Kinseth has been chosen by Marriott as a top franchise partner, receiving the Marriott Golden Circle Award multiple times. Kinseth has been recognized as Developer of the Year for both Marriott and Hilton multiple times. Kinseth has earned the Management Franchise Partner Legacy Award for Hilton. Kinseth has developed destination hotels similar in size and scope of their proposed properties, including the following: the Hilton Garden Inn and View in downtown Iowa City, the AC by Marriott in the First in Cedar Rapids, currently under development, Homewood Suites and View Rooftop in Dillon, Colorado. Kinseth has been part of the Dubuque business community since 1996 and currently operates 3 Dubuque hotels, including the Holiday Inn, Town Place Suites, and the Hampton Inn, and that completes the reasons that Kinseth points out that they would be the best developer for this project. Enticing more youth sports, tourism activities, and development to the Port of Dubuque region will take more hotel rooms. The TBK Betplex Sports Tourism Facility in Bettendorf generates demand for over 30,000 hotel rooms a year and has led to the construction of at least 2 new hotels in that market. Adding more hotel rooms to the Port of Dubuque will provide support for the following: the Grand River Center, the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium, the soon-to-be renovated Five Flags, downtown and historic Millwork District businesses, efforts to bring more sports tourism development to Dubuque beyond the Field of Dreams, the Miracle Field, the Alliant Energy Outdoor Amphitheater at the Star Brewery Building, efforts to entice further investment in the Port of Dubuque by increasing activity in the district, the regional tourism industry, especially the flourishing arts and entertainment industry with a new art museum soon to be built, the new Wanderwoods Garden, Butler's Children's Garden, the many visitors related to the local college students and college activities and events. This will not be competition to the Grand Harbor Hotel and Water Park, but will be complementary, because with more events drawn to the Grand River Center and elsewhere, there will be more room rentals, and the Grand Harbor is a unique property with the indoor water park and the direct connection to the Riverwalk and the Skywalk to the Grand River Center. The Grand River Center deserves special mention here, as it is known that if there were only more hotel rooms in close proximity to the Grand River Center, there would be more and larger conventions, conferences, trade shows, and other activities at the facility, increasing the spending at local businesses and decreasing the need for city property tax subsidies at the facility. Also, local businesses would not need to take their large-scale business, sales, and training activities out of town. This project will increase the city hotel motel tax revenues, with 50% supporting the Convention and Visitors Bureau, or Travel Dubuque, and 50% providing property tax relief. And the new hotel will add to the community property tax base. Adding visitors to Dubuque also supports workforce development, as the Iowa Economic Development Authority reports that over 60% of the people that move to a new community discovered that community through a vacation visit or business trip visit. Travel Dubuque President and CEO Keith Ray, Dyersville Economic Development Corporation Executive Director Jackie Ray, and Travel Dubuque Field of Dreams Operations Vice President John Sutter recently presented to the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation Board of Directors. The vision for the Field of Dreams site is as follows: preserve and build upon the iconic Field of Dreams destination in Dubuque County that has drawn over 4 million visitors for generations to come. Create a world-class venue to host a variety of state, regional, and national events, including future Major League Baseball games. Carry the momentum and excitement of past events and the Major League Baseball relationship to a multi-year level. Elevate and showcase the history, opportunities, and vitality of the tri-state region, the place we call home. The 2 Major League Baseball games that have been played on the Field of Dreams drew over 9.3 million viewers, with the first game being the most watched regular season game since 2005. The Field of Dreams has a feasibility study that shows their project to build a permanent Major League Baseball field and a world-class youth sports complex will lead to over $10 million in annual spending and over 300 new jobs in the region. Even without the improvements being completed at the Field of Dreams, over 400 youth baseball teams came to Dubuque County for Field of Dreams tournaments in 2024. According to a feasibility study conducted by Sports Facility Advisors, the Field of Dreams Youth Sports Complex alone is expected to generate new demand for 60,068 hotel room nights a year. The Field of Dreams Youth Sports Complex is expected to generate over $17 million in total direct spending for the local economy. This only includes the impact of the new youth sports complex and does not include the impact on hotel room demand or the local economy of the new Major League Baseball stadium being built at the Field of Dreams, where they will play Major League and college baseball games and host concerts and other activities drawing visitors to this region. While they have not done a feasibility study on the economic impact of the Major League Baseball stadium component of the Field of Dreams project, Keith Ray from Travel Dubuque estimates it could generate an additional 40,000 hotel room nights. This would be a grand total of 100,000 new hotel room nights a year from the Field of Dreams project. In 2022, travel-related expenditures in Dubuque County were $439 million, supporting over 2,900 jobs. The 7% hotel-motel tax revenues are projected to be $3,239,545 in 2025, and that's prior to completion to any Field of Dreams improvements. An increase of 40% from the the increase is $965,500 from 2019, the year before the pandemic, which was $2,269,045. With a continued expansion of our business community, in July 2024, Dubuque hit an all-time high for number of jobs at 62,200. There will be increased hotel demand by business travel, and they prefer to stay at a branded hotel like Hilton or Marriott so they can add to the travel club points. The expansion of the Mississippi River cruise boat industry with the arrival of 4 new boats and the arrival of Viking Cruise Lines is expanding the exposure of the international traveler to Dubuque. While they do not stay in hotels while on their cruise, some of these people will come back to Dubuque, and most of these passengers will go back to their homes and tell their family and friends about this new place they have discovered in the heartland of America, Dubuque, the masterpiece on the Mississippi. The same is true for the international exposure that will be created through the Field of Dreams. Some of those people will come back and they will tell their families and friends about Dubuque. A May 2024 McKinsey & Company report titled, and I quote, "The State of Tourism and Hospitality 2024," close quotes, has several important conclusions, and I quote these conclusions. Global travel is back and buzzing. More regional trips, newly emerging travelers, and a fresh set of destinations are powering steady spending. As global tourism grows, it's crucial for destinations to be ready. How can the tourism ecosystems prepare to host unprecedented volumes of visitors while also managing the challenges? McKinsey surveyed current day travelers with the following results, and I quote, "Travel has become a top priority, especially for younger generations. 66% of the travelers we surveyed say they're more interested in travel now than they were before the COVID-19 pandemic. This pattern holds across all surveyed age groups and nationalities. Respondents also indicate that they're planning more trips in 2024 than they did in 2023. Travel isn't merely an interest these days, it's become a priority even amid uncertain economic conditions that can make budgeting a challenge. Travel continues to be one of the fastest growing consumer spending areas, rising 6% over a recent 12-month period in the United States, even when adjusted for inflation. Only 15% of our survey respondents say they're trying to save money by reducing the number of trips they go on. And in February 2024, McKinsey Consumer-Wise Global Sentiment Survey of more than 4,000 participants, 33% of consumers said they plan to splurge on travel, ranking it the third most popular splurge category, trailing only eating at home and eating out at restaurants. Younger generations appear to propel much of the rising interest in travel. In 2023, millennials and Gen Zers took, on average, nearly 5 trips versus less than 4 for Gen Xers and baby boomers. Millennials and Gen Zers also say they devote, on average, 29% of their income to travel, compared with 26% for Gen Zers and 25% for baby boomers. Younger generations are prioritizing experiences over possessions. 52% of Gen Zers in our survey say they splurge on experiences, compared with only 29% of baby boomers. McKinsey concludes that tourism and hospitality are on a journey of disruption. Shifting sources, markets, and destinations, growing demand for experiential and luxury travel, and innovative business strategies are all combining to dramatically alter the industrial landscape. Close quotes. Las Vegas talks about, and I quote, the fun economy. They say they are at the intersection of a massively intertwined fun economy of tourism, sports, and entertainment. While Dubuque is no Las Vegas, nor do we want to be, but we are a beneficiary of the fun economy. If we expect to be a premier tourism destination, we need to have the infrastructure in place to support those visitors to our signature tourist attractions like the Mississippi River, the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium, the Field of Dreams, and the many supporting attractions, including the gambling industry. In my research, I have found that tourism significantly impacts the local economy in various ways. Tourism generates employment opportunities in various sectors, including hospitality, transportation, retail, and entertainment. This helps reduce unemployment rates and supports local livelihoods. Visitors spend money on accommodations, food, attractions, and services, contributing to the local economy. This influx of cash helps business thrive and can lead to increased tax revenue for local governments. Tourism encourages the growth of local businesses, from restaurants and shops to tour operators and attractions. This can lead to a more vibrant local economy and community. Tourism fosters cultural exchange and appreciation, which can enhance the community's cultural offerings and create a more diverse and inclusive environment. Successful tourism can enhance a region's reputation, attracting further investment and visitors. This positive branding can lead to long-term economic benefits. Overall, tourism acts as a catalyst for economic development, bringing diverse benefits to local communities while fostering a sense of pride and cultural identity. Hotels affiliated with well-known brands like Marriott or Hilton often attract more guests. This is due to several factors. Established brands have a strong reputation, which can instill trust and confidence in potential guests. Many major hotel chains offer loyalty programs that reward frequent travelers with points, discounts, and special perks, encouraging repeat customers. Brand-affiliated hotels typically adhere to strict quality and service standards, ensuring a consistent and reliable experience for guests. Major brands have substantial marketing budgets, allowing them to reach a wider audience through various channels, including online advertising and partnerships. Branded hotels often choose prime locations and offer a range of amenities, which can make them more appealing to travelers. Overall, the brand association can significantly influence a guest's choice when selecting accommodations. Nearby hotel rooms play a crucial role in supporting a convention and conference center in several ways. They provide convenient lodging for attendees, speakers, and exhibitors, making it easier for them to participate in events without long commutes. Proximity to hotels can boost attendance, as attendees are more likely to register for events if they know comfortable accommodations are readily available. Hotels often collaborate with conference centers to offer package deals that include lodging, meals, and event registration, making it more appealing for potential attendees. Staying at nearby hotels allows attendees to network outside of formal sessions, enhancing relationship building and collaboration. Event organizers benefit from the convenience of having accommodations close by, simplifying logistics and enabling easier management of event-related needs. Attendees often extend their stays for leisure purposes, benefiting the local economy and tourism. Overall, the synergy between nearby hotels and convention centers enhances the overall experience for attendees while driving economic benefits for the local community. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval of the attached development agreement with Kenseth Hospitality for the construction of 2 new Marriott hotels in the Port of Dubuque.
Thank you, Mike. We are on a public hearing to consider City Council approval of the proposed development agreement between the City of Dubuque, Iowa and Kenseth Hospitality Company Incorporated. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on this item? Yeah, please, Jill.
Hi there, Jill Connors, Economic Development Director. Mr. Kenseth is in chambers tonight, and I think he had some visuals that he wanted to share with you. So I'm going to try to find him here.
Sounds good.
Okay, maybe if I can get the mouse to work. What is going on? Any thoughts? It's not working.
That's our old one.
It's not on there. It should just be on the laptop. If you close those. Where is that folder? That one. Yeah. As well as the second one down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
Maybe that was. And we'll scroll it back up. Open that one. And scroll it to the photos. There.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we're gonna do this.
The real IT support's coming.
Oh, okay, let's see. So this, yeah, you've got it. And then the drawing is in the pictures.
Yeah.
And this is your PDF that he had. There was no PowerPoint that I saw.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. Can we get it up there?
And second. There we go.
Hooray. Okay.
Thanks, Eric.
I'll turn it over to Mr. Kinsa.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Eric, for the help.
So there's the PDF. If you want to scroll down to photos, and then the photos just right there. If you click on that.
Okay.
The other one.
Thank you. Well, good evening. I'm Ben Kinseth, Executive Vice President with Kinseth Hospitality Companies. Thank you. Really excited about this project. This is definitely a project we've been dreaming about, what could be in Dubuque and what could extend our portfolio and really our whole Iowa-wide hotel portfolio to where is the tourism going to keep growing? Where are the locations? And have long thought of Dubuque as a great place that we already do business, but we'd like to expand. There was a great write-up there with all that information, a lot of phenomenal information. Another thing that just kind of blatantly put it right out there is there's 200 million Marriott Bonvoy members globally. And people drive by Dubuque, and we do have the Town Place Suites, which has been very successful. But without question, the Port of Dubuque, the investment and the vision that's long been in the port and the whole Dubuque community, I think this 200 million loyalty program is just growing at a huge rate, and Marriott's success is obviously very evident out there across lodging markets across the country. But that loyalty program and being in the port where Dubuque's already made such substantial investments, the synergies are obvious, and that's what gives us the confidence, knowing that Dubuque is really lacking quality Marriott product, and then also coupling that with your convention center. The list goes on and on. There was a lot of good information that Mike read off there, but it really is exciting for us. We don't see markets like this very often, and I don't know that everybody sees it all the time, but we've seen it for a while. We know the success we've already had. And I think this location, I'm sure all of you have thought long and hard about what could be on this obvious 12 acres. That is you don't see that very often either. It's just a great blank canvas that's long, probably waited too long to get something going. And so this anchor, we hope, will be an anchor hotel to what will come. And this layout here isn't anything final about this layout, but this gives you a little visioning of what the parcels could be surrounding the hotel. And that's really what we hope is, along with our efforts here in developing this hotel, we'll see, hopefully some efficiency with the rest of the parcels being activated with exciting add-ons that will make Dubuque even more dynamic than it already is. Really hope that we'll get a lot of food and beverage in there next to the hotel. I could see a great patio space in there, hopefully some people living in the area. I'm sure you've all thought about that more than I have, but it's exciting to see what the parcels could be. And so this hotel, 160 rooms, going to service extended stay guests with the core of the Residence Inn brand, which has really been a popular theme in the hotel industry. Extended stay is what's getting built in a lot of markets across the country. Residence Inn really is the 500-pound gorilla. It leads the market. It's been around for a long time. It's one of Marriott's power brands, so it's really excited about that. And of course, Marriott Courtyard, as you're well aware, has Starbucks, literally a Starbucks in the hotel. Great business brand that'll complement the River Center and really help bulk up that midweek traffic, which is really critical in Dubuque to be successful. And so we'll have great two brands coming together, one front desk, a lot of synergy there. In today's world, construction costs, as everybody knows, are up quite a bit. It comes with a price to build new, but we love, that's what we do at Kinseth. We build new hotels. That is our future. And so we couldn't be more excited to be partnering with the city on this project. It's everything about it, because what we want to do is find markets like Dubuque and do great Marriott and Hilton products for that matter. And like I said, the 200 million Bonvoy members and having no Marriott product really to speak of besides our relatively small Town Place Suites in the market is an exciting formula. this layout, it could go a variety of ways, and we've kind of liked this layout the most right now. Our access is really important. We'll get into that as we finalize things. You do see kind of this maybe middle grand entrance there, off the, there's the parking in the kind of behind the hotel, but where the entrance goes, and I think these streets that get built will be important decisions as the city looks at activating the rest of this 12 acres. Let's see here. And with that kind of wraps up my comments. I think this is, this rendering here is a Marriott approved. This isn't the exact hotel, but it gives you the idea of the two wings somewhat. We might have an L shape, probably not. This is the best look we have of it right now. And with that, I could take, I don't know if I'm up to take any questions. Is that part of it?
Well, we'll see if there's thank you, Ben, first
Sure.
of all, very much for your comments. We'll wait and see if there's any other public input, and then if we have questions for you, I might call you back up.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, any other public input on this item this evening? Seeing none here.
No.
Anything
No
virtually?
input received.
Thank you both. All right, back to the table then for discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Kinsa, thank you so much. This is a great project. I'm going to, of course, support it. I'll be surprised if anybody doesn't. It's been a long time coming. And you're right, we've looked at that 12-acre spot down there, wondering now what at one point we thought we might get minor league ball there, but nobody's selling minor league teams, and nobody's going to build that there. We finally woke up to that. And along comes a great project that's going to enhance everything else that we're trying to do there. So I absolutely support this, and thank you again, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Resnick.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to double down on what Mr. Kinseth said. That's got to be probably the most well-written memo in my memory.
Somebody should get him a sandwich.
They talk about the present and the future, and it's real, and it's it's optimistic and realistic at the same time. And congratulations on putting all that. I'm sure your whole team helped you with that one, but that's quite. The future in Dubuque is very exciting, and the Skinseth Hotel is going to be a part of that exciting future. So I am also looking forward to support this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick.
So,
Ms. Farber.
Yes, one of the things that we have talked about and prioritized, of course, is amenities for families and trying to expand our population growth, support our workforce, and just support the miracle on the Mississippi that we are and that Mike so wonderfully described in his 8 pages of his notes. And so I like the thought, Mr. Kinsa, that you talked about the synergies, and not only about what you're doing there and you're co-locating with the convention center, but also Schmidt Island and other downtown areas and activities, because that will be basically, you can link to those quite nicely as well, and to all the activities that we have in Dubuque. So thank you very much. I have stayed at one of your combined Marriott hotels, most recently out when I was in California, and it is a great concept, and it is really easy to do business with in terms of going across the courtyard ways, if you will, and I just think the design was very user-friendly. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing it in full completion soon. Thank you.
Ms. Wethel.
Mr. Kinseth, I represent Ward 4, which is where your facility will be built. And so thank you. I often, many days of the week, walk down to the river past that space. And as we started to contemplate as a city considering selling this land, which, just to verify and be transparent to our community, we are selling the land, estimated at $800,000. It is a $30 million investment. Thank you, sir. And I cannot wait to show your guests our river, because it is such a strategically placed facility, so close to so much vibrancy that we have to share here in Dubuque. So thank you.
Ms. Rousseau. Oh, I thought you were leaning.
I just support all the comments
right.
that have been
Gotcha.
said.
Mr. Sprain.
Same as everyone else, support it, looking forward to it, and I really like that there's a deadline and the fact that we're selling the land for a considerable market value, so thank you.
Well, one of the things I'm learning about our city manager is when he writes a really long memo, he's pretty excited about something. That's usually one of the things we've seen a few of these moments here. But Mike, honestly, you said so much in there, and I don't think it needs to be repeated. One thing I didn't hear, and the only thing that I'll really add is a little bit more about the tourism piece. You know, we get to serve on a lot of boards on this council, and one of the boards that I am honored to serve on is the Travel Dubuque Board. Served with Mike and Mr. Jones. And, you know, in that, we talk a lot about what tourism, what's happening and what's coming down the pike and what kind of things are, the kind of events that we are getting. So we hear a lot about that. Every once in a while, we hear about the events that we didn't get. And that always sticks out to me because it's those events that we didn't get and the reasons we didn't get them. And it is almost always because we don't have the capacity for the people to be able to come and be here. I am incredibly excited by just about everything that you read in that memo and everything, you know, Mr. Kent says, thank you very much for being here tonight to be able to share some more details with us. But this is the kind of stuff that makes me want to just run out of the room and just start going to work and being able to do all these fun things that we're going to be doing for the next 10 years because there's a lot of it happening. And make no mistake, those of us who live here, tourism benefits us greatly. It is a major economic driver for this community and becoming more so. Those 400 teams, if you were downtown at all, any day of the week in the summer, those 400 teams from the Field of Dreams were everywhere. They were all over downtown. And to be able to have more capacity to bring more people here to Dubuque, to be able to enjoy what we have and be a part of our community for their stay, I think is going to be a major benefit. And the fact that we have this hotel in one part of the riverfront and another hotel that we know is being built in another part of the riverfront already, we have a lot of action happening. So this is incredibly exciting. I'm very excited to vote for this tonight, and I can sense that excitement up here too. So thank you very much. All right, motion here is to receive and file, adopt this resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick. Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
That motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 5 is Community Development Block Grant FY24 Annual Action Plan Amendment Number 1, public hearing.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel?
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Roussel, second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Housing and Community Development Director Alexis Stager is recommending City Council approve the fiscal year 2025 Annual Action Plan Amendment Number 1. The Community Development Advisory Commission reviewed this amendment at their September 4th, 2024 meeting and approved purchase, rehab, resale as an activity in the fiscal year 25 Annual Action Plan Amendment Number 1 with $350,509.79 allocation. Fiscal year 25 Amendment Number 1 includes lowering the administration costs. The City of Dubuque is obligated to keep planning and administration funds under 20% of the Community Development Block Grant allocation, plus an estimated amount of program income. The amendment includes carryover funds from projects that were not viable in fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25 and are no longer active. The amendment also includes carryover funds from unexpended but completed fiscal year 24 projects. Lastly, the amendment includes carryover funds from projects that are still viable, active, and will be completed in fiscal year 25. These projects include Ecumenical Tower elevator replacement and the Lincoln Wellness Project. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. We are in a public hearing to consider City Council approve the fiscal year 2025 Annual Action Plan Amendment Number 1. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on this item? Seeing no one here. Anyone virtually?
No.
Thank you.
No input.
All right. Back to the table then. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Motion here is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber. Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 6 is vacating a portion of a stormwater detention basin access easement across a part of Lot 2 of Cedar Ridge Farm Place Number 10 in the city of Dubuque, Iowa. Common address 3100 Cedar Crest Ridge.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Sprank.
Motion by Resnick, second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Assistant City Engineer Bob Schissel is recommending City Council adoption of the attached resolution vacating all interest in a portion of the stormwater detention basement access easement over a part of Lot 2 of Cedar Ridge Farm Place Number 10. The vacant lot at 3100 Cedar Cross is encumbered by the access easement mentioned above. The property owners are planning to develop the currently vacant lot at 3100 Cedar Cross Road into a coffee shop with a drive-through facility for Charlotte's Coffee House. During the site plan review process, it was determined that because of the proposed site grading, the existing easement alignment would not be accessible by the city or contractor maintenance equipment. The property owners have agreed to grant a new access easement through the proposed site that will be traversable for maintenance equipment. The new access easement location will allow access from the public road of Cedar Cross to the detention basin facility. The city will use the access easement to facilitate the ongoing maintenance of the detention basin facility. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request mayor and city council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Are in a public hearing to consider city council adoption of the attached resolution vacating all interest in a portion of the stormwater detention basin access easement over a part of Lot 2 of Cedar Ridge Farm Place Number 10. Do we have any public input on this item? Seeing none. Do we have anything virtually?
No.
Thank
No
you.
input.
All right, back to the table then for any discussion. Seeing and hearing none on this one. Motion here is to receive and file, adopt the resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 7 is State Revolving Fund Loan Environmental Review Bipartisan Infrastructure Law State Revolving Fund Private Lead Service Line Replacement Pilot Program.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Wethel.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Sprank.
Motion by Wethel, second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Water Department Director Christopher Lester is recommending City Council approve the resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the revised environmental information document for the bipartisan infrastructure law state revolving fund private lead service line replacement pilot project and direct staff to submit the required documentation to the SRF environmental review specialist. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request mayor and city council approval.
Thank you, Mike. We are in a public hearing to consider city council approve the resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the revised environmental information document for the bipartisan infrastructure law state revolving fund private lead service line replacement pilot program and direct staff to submit the required documentation to the SRF environmental review specialist. Do we have anyone to provide public input on this item this evening? Seeing no one here, anything virtually? No.
No input.
Thank you. Back to the table then. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Resnick.
I was hoping that we would have someone talk to the citizens about what was revised and whether it's a major revision or just some minor changes.
Good evening, Christopher Lester, Water Department Director. Councilman Resnick, to answer your question, the only thing that's changed tonight from the previous public hearing that we had earlier this year, I believe it was in March, is we had to expand the area that was approved in the first environmental document. Essentially, the first area that you had approved encompassed about 969 homes that were eligible to participate in the program. We were confident at that time that we would find the 585 homes that would be willing to participate in this program. And in that approximately 900 homes area, that was not the case. So we did have to expand that area to an additional phase. So what you're looking at tonight is a revised area document. I believe the maps that you have show the original contract area that we showed in blue, and the revised is now in red. So the only change that you're looking at right now is an expanded area, and we had to update the EID to show that area that had expanded.
So could you tell us about where we are and looking for the around 500? And then, for folks, and then it seems like such a great deal for our citizens. What is the issue with people not taking advantage?
Sure. So your first question, right now we do have the first 200 homes submitted to the DNR. They're working through the environmental steps required. The anticipated timeline for the environmental process to be completed is late October. After October, we did bring on Origin Design for the engineering design
portion of the first phase. They'll be looking to go out for bid over the wintertime, and they'll probably start construction in the spring of next year. To answer your question as far as why we don't have the high level of interest that you would expect, that's a very good question. I don't have a real good feel for that. I don't know if it's maybe too good of a thing to be true. Like you mentioned, it is a great deal. It is at zero cost to the homeowners whatsoever. There will not be any additional taxes on this. We estimate the cost to be between $10,000 to $12,000 to replace that line in the home. And again, there's absolutely nothing comes out of the homeowner's pocket. So it is quite a bit of outreach. We've sent out letters, called people in the districts that were eligible based on that disadvantage criteria that was provided to us by the Iowa Finance Authority and the DNR. So we're hoping that as we continue to expand that area, which we'll do over this fall, to kind of touch on your second question, we will look to find the additional 385 homes to participate over the winter, and we'll do the in-home verifications and get people committed to this program, and then have one more public hearing, hopefully in the spring of next year.
And people know that they have lead pipes coming in. I mean, you would let them know who has lead service and who might be interested, right?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. So we're in the process of updating our records. On October 16th, 2024, our lead service line inventory has to be published, and we have to notify homeowners. The process that we've gone through as far as recruiting people to participate in this program is, if we suspect they have a lead service line, we would send them a letter initially saying, hey, we suspect that you have a lead line based on our records, and that's how we would encourage participation to start with.
Now, right now we have an additive in the water to make those lead pipes as safe as possible, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we incorporate a polyorthophosphate, which is a food-grade material that coats the linings of the pipes so that lead is not able to leach out. So right now we don't have any no concerns with the lead service lines. We test regularly, and we have not had any sort of high levels of lead because of that polyorthophosphate.
I mean, the amount of money that these citizens could save is more than their property taxes for a whole year. I mean, it's significant.
It is, considering that we're looking at homes that qualify for the disadvantaged status. Yes, that's an accurate statement.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Of course.
Any other questions or discussion? Yeah, Mr. Sprang.
Chris, about that program, do folks have to be owner occupied only? Is that how that works? Because there's a number of rentals in that listing now, and it's like.
That's a great question. So essentially, if they qualify by census tract, so if the majority of that census tract falls in that disadvantaged area, it does not have to be a property-only owner. It's if that home falls in the area. So if you're a landlord, renter, it's just based on where that home falls in that census tract. So,
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. Good questions and good information to share, Chris. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay, motion here is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber. Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 8 is Water Department Operations SCADA System Upgrade Project, public hearing.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
Move to receive and file the documents and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Jones, second by Resnick. Mike, please.
Sorry. I apologize, I was preoccupied.
That is all right. Public hearing 8.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Water Department Director Chris Lester is recommending City Council adopt the resolution approving the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Water Department Operations SCADA System Upgrade Project in the amount of $1,850,000. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. We are in a public hearing to consider City Council adopt the resolution approving the plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Water Department Operations SCADA System Upgrade project in the amount of $1.85 million. Do we have any public input on this item? Seeing none. Anything virtually?
No.
Thank you.
No input.
Thank you. Back to the table and for any discussion. Mr. Resnick.
Mr. Lester, when reading this through, it seems that we have squeezed every bit of usefulness out of the old system and that the new system has some significant upgrades that will not only improve service, but will save us money. Is that what you say as well?
Christopher Lester, Water Department Director. Another great question, Councilman Resnick. You're correct. The current system that we have in place is over 30 years old. The system itself is obsolete. It is no longer supported by the manufacturer, and you are correct. By replacing the SCADA system, we will be able to realize a lot more efficiencies. There's several areas of the plant right now that are not monitored by SCADA, so the upgrade of the SCADA system will provide us to have that remotely monitored. And of course, yes, there's efficiencies that will be realized with that. We can data logging to kind of record that versus the operator walking around, which will still encourage the operator to walk around regularly and monitor things, but just the ability to record processes and kind of monitor those and look at how we can be more efficient in all the processes will be a huge benefit as well.
I mean, sometimes when we have these unfortunate breakages, this system will be able to shut things down and not only save some money on water, but the damage that water causes.
Yes, that's correct. Yep. They'll be able to install parameters which within pumps can run and shut off, start and stop and everything. It'll be a huge benefit.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any others?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
I'll just say this is one of the backbones of a mission-critical service that the city provides. Failure is not an option. The water's got to be clean, the water's got to be safe, and this is one of the ways that we assure it. So, of course, I support this and get it going. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Okay. Yeah, and I have to agree. And great work on being able to explain exactly all the ways that this is going to help to be able to modernize what we need to do, and the fact that you're going to be able to connect the SCADA systems, hopefully, between this and the Water and Resource Recovery Center, from what I understand. That's the eventual plan here, to be able to do that. Yep. Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our motion here is to receive and file and adopt this resolution. So, Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank. Aye. Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick. Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
We'll move on to public input. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting may address the City Council on the action items on the agenda or on matters under the control of the City Council. For all in-person attendees, please approach the podium and state your name and address when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Individual remarks are limited to 5 minutes, and the overall public input period is limited to 30 minutes. Under the Iowa Open Meetings Law, the City Council can take no formal action on comments given during public input or that do not relate to the action items on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Adrian. And thank you, everyone, for your patience as we made it through many public hearings there. So accept public input now, please. Yeah, please, come on up.
First, I want to say thank you to Adrian for helping me with this accommodation. My name is Diane Heiken. I live at 1865 Radford Road in Dubuque. Our building is known as Roosevelt West Senior Apartments. I've lived there over 2 years. In the spring of this year, on April 3rd, we received a memo from management stating that there were several cases of bed bug infestation in the building. And what their stance is, what their viewpoint is that residents have to turn it in, that it has to be treated, and they will call an exterminator for you. And basically, they say that's just out of kindness, and that you have to pay, and they want it to come out of your portal, which is how people have their rent taken out, so it's a direct connection to their bank account. This kind of, I guess, program is encouraging people to not turn their infestations in because people don't have that money in their portal always. So what is happening is instead of being proactive, we're just kind of chasing these bed bugs around the building. Right now that I know of, since April, there have been 10 apartments that had to be treated, not preventive, but for actual bed bugs in the building or in their units. So out of 44, that's 22.7%. So roughly 23% of the units have been affected. It's traveling in a really strange pattern, according to the City Housing Inspection Department. We started with units on third floor, and then every unit underneath on second floor of those original 4 was affected. So those were the first 8. Then one down below on first floor was affected. Now we have another on third floor. So the person underneath that unit is understandably very, very anxious that they're going to come down to their unit. I was told by Shane Hooper that is really not expected. That's not how it would happen normally. So my question is, if something is so atypical, is there something in the construction of the building? One person will tell you that she saw a huge amount around her ceiling fan in her bedroom. In my mind, that would prompt someone to come and help us. I first reached out to the City Housing Inspection Office on May 9th, and because I have not had any in my apartment, nor have I had any signs, Shane said that they can't do anything to help me. So that'd be something I'd like you to reconsider. If you live in a building with bed bugs, please let someone reach out to you, even if they don't have them in their unit. I have opted to do preventive treatments. It costs me $200 every 60 days, but for me, that's worth it. There's no guarantee, but most people can't afford that. So I did find out today our building is through a program with the Iowa Finance Authority. There's a tax credit program. There are some Section 8 apartments, and there are 5 market rates. So it's a mixed income building, which I love that concept. But there's like a $6.8 million exemption on the assessed value of that building, and I don't really feel that the owner managers are really taking care of us. They're not putting any of that money back in for treatments. There have been, no dog has come back through to rule the building as infestation free. They did that at the very first week, but they're not doing anything to really help eradicate them. So I tried to look into the law, been struggling with the city ordinance since the end of June. Shane Hooper had been telling me that it was squarely on the owner managers to be responsible for the treatment. When I said, will you just send it to me, please? Because, I was a retail pharmacist for years. I love structure, I love code, I love laws. They're there to protect people. I can read them, I can educate people about them. I said, I'll go educate them myself. Because nobody that actually had an infestation had called him, he said they couldn't come out to the building. So about an hour after I talked to him, he sent me an email and said, well, the ordinance didn't really say that. He had misremembered it. And so I've been waiting since the end of July to find out what our city ordinance says. And I just need that as a tool to help us. The social emotional impact, the brain health issues, it's really significant in our building. This is all older people. We have people in their 80s that aren't sleeping. We have people that aren't socializing. Family members and friends can't come to the building. I can't take my cat to the vet. As long as there are bed bugs in my building and I have nothing to rule them out, I can't take my cat in to be boarded or treated. There are just a lot of things. I will lose income from one of my jobs. I know you have a lot of the information in an email, but I guess my ask is that you determine what the ordinance says, and if it needs to be fixed, please fix it. And if you can, then educate our management about it. And lastly, in my last 5 seconds, I want to say thank you to Officer Brandon Gudenkoff. And if he's not being commended, could you please commend him for what he did at Audubon School 2 weeks ago? He helped us when there was an emergency situation. I'm sure most of you know about it. One of my jobs is as a paraprofessional at Audubon.
Well, thank you, Diane, for your comments.
Thank you.
Please, come on up.
My name is Susan Kerr.
You know what? Actually, there's a little button to your right there on the underneath, and it goes
Black
down.
one?
The whole thing goes down if you just
Hold
push
it
down.
Oh, to bring it down?
Yep. Then you can see us better, and we can see you. And you can reach the mic.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and if you just pull the mic towards you so everybody can hear and everybody
Okay.
at home can hear.
My name is Susan Kerwin. I'm a resident at 1865 Radford Road. I have been at Roosevelt West since it began, and I'm mostly here just to kind of let you know how this has been such an emotional time for all of the residents. we're at a stage right now where we are living in fear, and we are afraid to go to our neighbor's place. We're afraid to go to the elevator. We're afraid to walk on the carpet. We're afraid to have our families come visit us. We're afraid to have our grandchildren come stay overnight. I have a Bible study that I would have people come to my house to. You have to call and tell people, just have to tell you guys that I got bed bugs in my apartment place, and I haven't had them personally, but you still live in fear because they lay dormant and you don't know if you do have them. And what we're like trying to figure out is why we can't do something to get the whole apartment building, to get rid of them so that they won't keep spreading. Because if they just keep going from apartment to apartment to apartment, before long we'll be starting all over again, and they'll continue to go, and will we ever really get rid of this? And our emotional needs are being, they're just going to where people don't know what to do anymore. And the financial part is another part. I have done some treatments, but then when I went back to do them again, they had raised in price, and if you didn't do a contract plan, it went from $125 up to $800. So at that point, you know, you're just saying, well, what do I do? Do I just wait until I get the bed bugs and then have to spend more money, or, you know, what to do? So we're just kind of in a situation where we just can't understand why our management is not wanting to help us get past this. And, you know, the range of ages from 55, people in their 90s. And, you know, the people that are on that high side there, they're struggling. It's just not something that you wake up every day and say, oh, I'm happy to be here. We're not happy to be there right now. We walk around with flashlights looking for bed bugs. You know, we can't sleep at night. We in the daytime, we're spending all our time looking for them to see if we're going to be the next person to get them. So we're just wanting some help, and you know, we'd like to start living again. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for your comments. Yeah, please come on up.
My name's Diane Pyle, and I live at 1865 Radford Road in the Roosevelt Apartments. Unfortunately, I'm one that has been recently infested with the bed bugs, and I can tell you it is a nightmare to take care of. I've heard the cost for mine is supposed to be somewhere around $900, and if I get them again in 6 months, that's another $900 they're going to want to come back and retreat, and that's making some people try to treat it themselves with products that, like, oh, just you would get at a hardware store, and that's not going to do it. All they're doing is spending money and harboring these, not harboring, but the fact that the apartment next to me had them, the apartment above me had them, and the one across the hall from me had them, I knew it was just eventually, you know, only time it would take to have it show up in my apartment, which it did. And I had already been cleared by the dog, and that came through, but now they're telling me I have to pay for this. I like those that spoke before me, is that you don't get to see your family, and you can't have anybody over or be company. Anytime you leave your door, even to walk the dog, I have to make sure my clothes are run through the dryer for 30 minutes and then put them on and go out. If I want to go down and get the mail, I have to run my clothes through the dryer for 30 minutes and put them back on. It's so isolating, and it's so frustrating, and some people that just can't afford it, I think, is just making the problem grow. We're just chasing these bed bugs around the building, and to be told, if I could let you know, the treatment is putting everything, all your pillows, blankets, sheets, clothing, towels, everything has to be run through the dryer and bagged up. So I'm sitting with 21 bags around my little, if I have a little apartment, which is making it like an obstacle course to walk around. And then found out the first treatment they gave me was done wrong, so now I have to start all over again. which I'm not paying for that, but anyway, we would appreciate some help. And most managers or most landlords would pay for like a routine treatment to keep them at bay, but we're not getting any of that. They're charging some people, and other people are getting treatments and not having to pay, and we're not sure why that was told to us, but also telling us we can't use the elevator. I was told, you'll have to stay out of the elevator, and I thought, well, I can't. I have a bad back, and anyway, we just would really appreciate if someone could look into this. And we're not asking for something that we don't deserve. We're just asking to have a livable place. I'm sleeping on my sofa because the bed bugs are coming through the ceiling fan, and they're dropping down to my bed. And when you're laying there and one crawls across your pillow, you have to get up and out of there, and so I've been sleeping on my sofa. So I would just appreciate if you could consider whatever language needs to be modified to put in the hands of the landlord. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane, for your comments. Any other public input this evening? All right, well, thank you to those who provided public input. We can move on to action items, please, Adrian.
Action item number 1 is National Police Woman Day photo.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file.
Second.
Got a motion by Roussel, second by Jones. Going straight to you, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, would you mind just making a statement so they know what's going on after this? The people who had public input that it was just for input, and then what's the next steps? I remember being out there and I didn't know what was going on.
Sure.
Is there anything you could tell them before we go on, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Resnick. Just one moment. Yeah, just to note that we are not able to comment on anything that isn't on the agenda. So legally, we can't speak back to you about what you provided for public input unless it lands on our agenda, or we can always speak to you following a meeting or before a meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick. All right, Chief, I think I'm coming straight to you.
Trying to get a picture pulled up here. Jeremy Jensen, Chief of Police. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's with honor that we're going to bring up a picture here, hopefully, that you've seen. That on September 12th was National Police Woman Day. It's celebrated annually across the nation. Kind of like to point out that Dubuque has a history of pioneering women in policing. From Carol Hanfelt in the 70s and Paula Giesman in the 80s and 90s, Carol being one of the first women in law enforcement in the state of Iowa, and Paula being one of the first promoted women in the state of Iowa, and to the women that we have today. As you know, I've talked about before, we have the 30 by 30 initiative, which is 30 female officers, 30% female workforce by the year 2030. We currently have 19 sworn female officers, and on top of that, I'd like to also celebrate not only just our sworn female officers, but we have retirees, we have administrative staff, administrative staff, 911 dispatchers. I think that it'd be remiss if we didn't cover that as part of this on it. Maybe? There it is. So there's the photo. So this was done and put out on our social media. It's done by Felicia Carner and the PIO staff as part of that. So I'm going to let Officer Kim Hoover talk about what we got going on with a women's conference real quick, and I didn't move it up.
Oh, thank you. Kim Hoover, Police Department. Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Kim Hoover. I am part of the planning team for bringing the Iowa Association of Women Police conference to Dubuque in March of 2026. We are hosting the conference with the ladies of the Dubuque County Sheriff's Office, so we are co-hosting. The event will be held at the new Q Casino Convention Center. The Iowa Association of Women Police was created in 1982 and is an affiliate member of the International Association of Women Police. These associations are dedicated to the advancement of women in law enforcement. We have also opened up this conference to the law enforcement ladies in the tri-state area, not just Iowa. So we're including state police, Galena Police Department, Platteville, the civilian employees within the county and the city as well as our retirees. We have also invited the ladies of the Dubuque Fire Department to attend the conference, and we would love to invite you guys as well to join us.
And with that, that's it for the presentation.
All
For me,
right.
if you wouldn't mind, I also want to give Officer Hoover credit. She is one of the co-chairs of our new Women Rising Together Employee Resource Group, which is one of the 3 ERGs across the city, and she's been a really great energy to have on that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'll open it up for discussion, but the first thing I want to say, this is such a cool picture. I mean, that is such a cool picture. And when I first saw it, it's moving to know that we're trying so hard to do the 30 by 30, but that at 19 already, and to see the smiling faces there, and to know you, Officer Hoover, and the other officers that I interact with, and we interact with on a regular basis, we sincerely appreciate your service. So I'll open it up for other discussion. Ms. Russell. You can clap. Go ahead.
I'll clap for the girls too.
We always have one of us who wants to celebrate right away. Yeah. Ms. Wethel first, and then I'll come to you, Ms. Farmer.
Mr. Hoover, what are the do you have the exact dates yet for the conference?
Yes, it's always the first week of March, so it'll be they'll be coming in town March 1st, and the conference will go the 2nd and the 3rd. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And you said in 26, correct?
Correct, 2026. So we've got some time to keep fundraising and planning and all that stuff.
Building hotels and things.
Yes.
Ms. Farmer.
I want you to know that I've known Kim for 10 years, and actually she goes by the name of Shield is how I know her. So I'm so proud of you, and I've seen you grow and develop over the last 10 years, so congratulations, and I really look forward to a stunning conference in 2026.
Thank you.
And thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Jones.
I got to experience public safety firsthand up front as women began to infiltrate the Old Boys Club, and was never disappointed. Carol Hanfeld was a great example. She was a fantastic police officer. She had better negotiating skills than most of the rest of the department combined. Paula Giesman retired as a captain. She was one of the first female captains in the state of Iowa, I think in the whole Midwest. But every single time I've talked to an officer or worked with an officer in that time, it didn't matter male or female. What we were getting was a pretty good product. And I hope it's a lot better. Now, I doubt that it truly is. But the reality was that Carol and Paula had to work much harder and be much more accurate and write better reports to survive in that man's world. And I sure hope that's easing up, because I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of this number, and I'm going to be really proud when we hit the 30%. Even prouder when we hit 50. So congratulations, and thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Wethel.
Just one more thing to add. As we move forward in our goals for 30% by 2030, I really look forward to hearing more about how we as a council can support the department in getting to that goal. I think as we continue to prioritize police recruitment and retention, that's something that's really front of mind for me. So the more feedback we receive, what we can do to help you with that goal, please do reach out and keep us well informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wethel.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
Let me do a quick commercial. And we've talked about police recruitment and retention. And why would you want to be a police officer in Dubuque, Iowa? Well, two of the reasons are standing right up there. Really good leadership that's got your back, outstanding training, outstanding equipment, a low crime rate, but the ability to manage the bad stuff when it comes, and citizens that have your back. That's not true everywhere. So come to work for us. And if you're a girl, come to work for us. We'll take you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I think the Public Information Office is going to be calling you tomorrow to be able to film the commercial. You know, I made a joke earlier in this session about it was actually during the work session, because we're getting a new agenda system, and I said, change is hard. You know, we all have, and it was semi-joking. You know, because we know that we're going to be able to make it through the agenda change. You know, it's a change. We're going to have to do it. But the change that Mr. Jones just pointed out, that has been occurring over a decades-long time in multiple professions, but especially in policing and in public safety professions, has been a really, really challenging one. And one of the things that I am continually proud of is that we in this city recognize the challenge, recognize the difficulty, we're not afraid of it, and we address it head on. And Corey, you pointed that out. We have specific strategies within our city government organization to be able to not just be okay with diversity and equity and all those words that we throw around, but to actually make it a part of who we are. And that's something I think we should all be proud of and commit ourselves to. And I know we talk about it up here, and we have discussions with groups all the time about this, and I see it in the police department, I see it in the fire department, I see it in departments across the spectrum in the city. But it's hard work. It's still hard work, and it's still something that's absolutely worth it, and we need to keep pushing. And this is a great step in the right direction to be able to celebrate it along the way. And I hope we keep doing that. I hope we keep having pictures like this and doing things like that. Just like the moment that we clapped when the first time we hit the moment where there were more women sitting at this desk than men. It's incredible progress. It's really important, and we need to support it entirely across the board as an entire city and entire community. So thank you for being here tonight to help us celebrate this, and thank you for making sure that we continue to do things like have this conference come here. I'm really excited to be able to attend that, so I'm very, very glad to hear that that's coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time tonight. Thank you. All right. That was a good discussion moment. The motion here was to receive and file the picture and make that and have that discussion. So Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber. Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 2 is Keymont Drive Pavement Rehabilitation Project Award Public Improvement Contract.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Farber.
I move that we receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Motion by Farber, second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Assistant City Engineer Bob Schissel is recommending City Council award the public improvement construction contract for the Keymont Drive Pavement Rehabilitation Project through the adoption of the enclosed resolution to Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete in the amount of $142,733.36. This amount is 45.6% below the engineer's estimate of probable cost. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you. Mike, do we have any discussion or any questions?
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor,
Mr.
very
Resnick.
quickly. Yeah, I'm glad that we've got a much lower price on this. And this is the RFP. Did we talk about, well, when we went out to bid for this, did we have the same materials called for in the, so that we know that we still have those great quality pavers? Were they all bidding on the same type of thing? And the thing that we were asking for, of course, which is high quality pavers. Thank you.
Good evening, Assistant City Engineer Bob Schissel. Yeah, all the contractors bidding off the same specifications and set of plans. We have researched and we have upgraded, I will say upgraded, the pavers that were specified and that will be incorporated into this project. They're similar pavers to what we have used in the brick alleys that have held up much better. So we are using a different, more reliable, more dependable product.
Any Puritan pavers at all? Are we using, they don't make those anymore, do they?
They're not Puritan pavers, but
Okay.
Boy, they sure held up for years, didn't they?
They're still great downtown and other places. They've held up very well, but these are equal quality, correct, to those, or better?
I'm not quite sure if anything's equal to the Puritan pavers, but they are a better product than what was put down many years ago.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Farber.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to engineering, and I know that the neighbors in the Keymont area are just thrilled with the opportunity to have more safe paver street, and they look forward to having the installation. So this is just a follow-up from what we discussed at our last meeting. So thank you again, and I know that they look forward to the completion.
Yeah, we appreciate their patience as well.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob, for helping us out there. Motion here is to receive and file, adopt this resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Action item number 3 is approval of sublease and operations agreement with Dubuque Forward LLC.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Sprang.
Got a motion by Resnick and a second by Sprang. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Leisure Services Director Marie Ware is recommending City Council adopt a resolution approving a sublease and operations agreement with Dubuque Forward LLC for 897 Central. The Park and Rec Commission reviewed the sublease and operations agreement at their September 10, 2024 meeting and unanimously recommends approval. Dubuque Forward and partners wanted to develop a new downtown pocket park in 2024. Dubuque Forward collaborated and entered a lease with Molo Oil Company with the intention to utilize the vacant site at the corner of 9th Street and Central Avenue for a new pocket park. This collaboration also includes Mississippi Driftless Regional Foundation. They wish to create a community gathering space dedicated to Dubuque's first responders. The park design is by Mike Stickley of Stickley Morton Architects and focuses on creating an environment highlighting some of our region's natural materials and forms. A ribbon cutting was held on September 12th. Dubuque is well known for its partnerships, and this agreement is an example of a partnership that is built in a very unique way. Dubuque Forward requested the city partner with them and take on day-to-day maintenance of the park and enforcement activities. The city had $20,000 of funding that could be used for items like water fountain, picnic tables, and waste receptacles. The city currently is having trouble maintaining all current park assets that have grown in number and will again when the 3 mini parks open later this fall. Additional personnel have not been added and the staff is stretched thin. This would require additional resources to take on the maintenance of the Dubuque Forward Park. Senior Counsel Barry Lindahl and Stephen Alt and Andy Butler representing Dubuque Forward and Marie Ware looked at numerous ways to partner. Due to a variety of laws and regulations of what cities can and cannot do, it was determined that a sublease to the city would be necessary if the city was to maintain the new park and have park ordinances that apply to the park. The sublease allows the city to maintain the park. The city will maintain the park with the provision that Dubuque Forward pay for the cost of maintenance each year. This cost is estimated at approximately $8,500 per year. This would include snow removal, ice control, mowing, trash recycling removal, general maintenance, including addressing vandalism, weed control, backflow testing and inspection, winterization, electric, water, sewer, and storm fees, and park patrol activities. Dubuque Forward would only be charged for the actual time and expenditures described. This arrangement is similar to another agreement the city has related to the improvements the DRA made at the All Veterans Memorial on Chaplain Schmidt Island. According to that agreement, the DRA pays for the maintenance cost of the completed project. The capital investment of $20,000 of park equipment is described in the sublease with the caveat that if the agreement is terminated, the city will be allowed to remove the park equipment at the time of termination. The City of Dubuque appreciates Dubuque Forward's commitment to make Dubuque a community of choice where all people can thrive, as well as their commitment to all park development and construction costs. These efforts have transformed this lot from a vacant site to a beautiful park that many will be proud of and enjoy into the future. It is through partnerships that great things happen in Dubuque. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Resnick.
Yes, thank you. So just to be clear, who owns the park, the Dubuque Forward does?
Yeah, so the Molo Oil Company retained ownership of the land and gave a 25-year lease to Dubuque Forward, who then developed the park and will continue to own it. And we will just sublease from Dubuque Forward.
Right, and then, so they're just allowing the public to enjoy the park?
Right, so the public will have full access to the park now. And while we'll maintain it, Dubuque Forward will pay for all the maintenance and any expenses that we incur related to that maintenance.
So who does the insurance? If somebody gets hurt in that park, is that part of one of our parks or theirs? Or, and then my other question is the name Dubuque Forward Park, and that's Is that the name of the park, or have
No,
that?
I think it's 897 Central Park, I think is the name of the park. It's the address on Central Avenue Park. So I think it's 897 Central Park. But I don't know the answer to the insurance question. I don't know if Marie or Steve's.
Krenna does.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go.
So as the sublessor, we obtain the property insurance and commercial general liability as we see fit for that. And I'm sorry, back up. I got to draw myself a picture here for a minute. Hold on. Sublessor, sublessee. In this case, with Dubuque Forward in the middle. See? That's why I'm drawing myself a picture. I don't like it when they use those words. I wish they would use the entity, because I got to think about it for a minute. I got to go back to the top and see who's the sublessor and the sublessee. Okay, we are the sublessee. Let me go back down. So there's two provisions that we would want to look at. So the sublessor, so that is Dubuque Forward, shall obtain property insurance and commercial general liability insurance as such amounts that are advisable. The commercial general liability policy shall be endorsed to include the sublessee, the city, as an additional insured. Then there are provisions related to indemnification contained in the agreement, related to environmental liability, and then also general indemnification provisions in there as well. So those things are addressed at different points in the lease.
I guess my concern is if ICAP is asked to do anything with this, as part of what we do, they're not going to be involved. It's all Dubuque Forward is going to cover the insurance. And if there's if services are necessary, like police or fire, that's not any different than any other park then.
Right. Or any other private place. Police and fire are going to respond.
Right. Okay. So when your team looked things over, you didn't see any red flags with this?
No, I thought that Marie and Barry did a good job of taking what the wishes of the mayor and city council were related to leasing this property and putting it into words into the agreement.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Spring.
A follow-up legal question. So if the fixture, it's the question is, we're by a busy street, say a vehicle somehow loses it, tears it all up, breaks up the city's fixtures, we would probably be responsible for those, but who would be responsible for like the trees and the plants if they got damaged in something like that? I know it gets confusing because then you're talking about automobile insurance and.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be the insurer of the driver.
Okay.
And we would have some coverage because we can maintain property coverage for our assets, and the things that we have supplied would be our asset.
Okay.
Any others?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Another for Krenna. Just generally speaking, most personal injury liability and everything were held harmless by a state code for normal activities that people participate in parks.
Yes, there's in 670.4 of the code, there's a specific provision related to recreational activities that relates to, there are a couple different ones, but there's things, for example, related to rec activities, whether it's, sledding or things of that nature that occur in parks.
Sledding's the one that a few of us live through.
Yeah, exactly.
Being
That's
kind
the
of
most recent one.
A big deal, but generally, if you go to the park and you do things that normally you do in the park, and if you get hurt, gee, we're sorry you got hurt.
So And just a couple of comments. First of all, let me say that this is an exciting development in an area of town that really needed it. So I appreciate everybody's involvement in this, all the way down from Mr. Molo in leasing this land to Dubuque Forward, and then the folks in Dubuque Forward for having the vision to be able to do this. I think we were down there for the ribbon cutting. A lot of us. It's a beautiful space and a place that is, it's right. You can enjoy your time in the park, and then you can go right across the street and vote. So it's a really nice spot to be able to do that. There's going to be some great new art in the form of murals on the wall. All in all, this is a net positive. One thing I do want to make sure that I take the time to say, though, is this conversation that we're having tonight is kind of indicative of this. Normally, a lot of these details get worked out early on in the process of planning something like this, and they don't have to be questions that we have to come back and ask in the end to make sure that we're all doing what we need to do. So right now we're at a point in Dubuque's history where we are, we've just got a ton of energy in all directions. And I mean, we see it here and we see it in the city as an organization. We see it with our elected officials. And then we see it also with people who are members of private entities that just want to do good things. That's a really good thing. I mean, that's just, all in all, that is very, very exciting. One of the challenges with it, though, is it requires all of us to be able to sit down and talk about some of these really nitty-gritty details to be able to get stuff done in an efficient and effective way. And I bring that up in this particular instance because one of the things that I think would help in the future as we do projects like this, if there's going to be private entities that come in and want to do a private project and then partner with the city in some way, we all have to recognize the needs that we have as entities. We're a city. We represent, as elected officials, a governmental body. We have a lot of rules to follow, and those rules come from all levels of government. Some of those rules we made. Some of the rules are dictated to us by the state. Some of them are federal rules. Those rules are in place for a reason. They do change at times, and we can change them if we need to, but one of the things that we have to, we're sort of beholden to those as we plan things. So when the city plans a park, for example, we iron out all these details up front and make sure that it's done. And same goes for anything else that we're going to talk about, whether it's parks or other places, that places that are going to eventually become public. So what I'm hoping is that we can, as we can learn from this situation. I think we turned out in a really good spot. I like where we landed. I'm looking forward to voting for this. I think the sublease is going to be a way to make this work. But it did take some gymnastics from our legal and parks department to be able to do this the way that it needs to get done. So in the future, I hope we can sit down early on and make sure that we have a well thought out and agreed upon plan to move this forward as we get into projects like this, so that the public understands the private side of this, the private side understands the public needs for what we need to follow and the rules we need to follow, so that we can make sure that we have these details ironed out and we can just kind of go off and do our things that we want to do to make this, as Dubuque Forward likes to say, the most inspiring city of its size in the United States. I appreciate that mission, and I think it's a very good one. But I do think that there are some hiccups that you run into that I think are useful to consider as we do this. And this is a learning process. As we do something like this, this is pretty new. I don't remember this occurring before, aside from the DRA example. But the DRA is sort of a mixed body as well. So it's pretty new. So as we do new things, we're going to learn new lessons, and I think we've learned some here that I hope we can make sure we improve upon as we go forward. In the meantime, it's going to be a very nice park to be able to enjoy. Okay. This motion here is to receive and file and adopt this resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel. Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 4 is request to amend city ordinance on speed limit reduction, Peru Road from Roosevelt Street to city limits.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the communications and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Sprank.
And a motion by Jones, second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Assistant City Engineer Bob Schissel is recommending City Council approval to amend an ordinance that reduces the speed limit to 35 miles per hour on Peru Road from Roosevelt Street to the city limits at Tanzanite Drive. A posted speed limit reduction from 45 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour on Peru Road from Roosevelt Street to the city limits based on the presence of two-way traffic and the number of driveways and subdivision entrances on this section of roadway. Keeping the posted speed limit at 35 miles per hour also eliminates confusion created by having too many speed limit changes in a short length. An additional speed shield will be accompanied with the changed speed limit sign. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request mayor and city council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I think this makes a lot of sense. I do get calls from folks on Peru Road who say 35 often goes up higher, doesn't it? And if they're used to, we had a term in driver's ed called velocitized. Once you're velocitized, they would say at 45 miles an hour, and then you come into another section, it just doesn't feel very, fast to be going 40 or 45. It just seems normal. So I think there was a good point about, it would erase this idea of changing and, what is the limit on Peru Road? I think this is a good, especially with all the development out there. There's a lot of housing on both sides of the road. I think this is a good thing to do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick. Any other discussion? I'm seeing heads shaking in agreement generally, and I have to agree as well. I think a lot of great thought was put into this. I really appreciated the explanation that we received in the memos that were in the packet as well. It really explained the situation very well. I didn't see the word velocitize in there, though. I'm not sure that that's an actual engineering term.
It's from the 80s.
It's from the 80s.
It was in my driver's ed class in the 60s as well.
Was it really? So it is an actual word. I take it back. I take it back. All right. Excellent. Well, motion here is to receive and file and waive the 3 readings. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Sprague.
Got a motion by Jones, second by Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 5 is Greater Dubuque Development Corporation request to convert format of quarterly updates to work sessions.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank.
I motion that we receive and file and I guess adopt the motion.
I think maybe it's to discuss with council.
Sure, discuss with council.
All right.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Sprank and a second by Roussel. So I'll begin here because I know Mike and I did have a brief conversation about this before we brought it to council to talk about it. The idea here is, I think we've kind of all noticed when Mr. Dickinson shows up to have his presentation to us on a quarterly update, sometimes the action items for the agenda doesn't quite fit as well. It does give us an opportunity to discuss, but you might recall, I think it was a couple months ago, where we basically jettisoned his presentation in lieu of something else because the night was getting pretty long. We had other things to do. We had to invite him back. So a work session format could provide us with a little bit more of discussion and allow him to be able to provide us with his update and then give us enough time to be able to work through it a little bit more. But I'm open to any discussions. It's just an idea that was brought forward and thought it might work.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
It's a great idea.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Resnick.
I agree. So Mr. Dickinson has been up since 5 in the morning, and he's here till 10 o'clock at night waiting for his report. If he's here at a 6 o'clock work session, we know, and then his report's usually about 15 minutes, and will be vital at that time of the day with some good questions. And there's a lot going on at Greater Dubuque. So he will be able to talk about things more with this situation. So I also agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick. Anyone opposed this idea? Okay. All right. Well, generally looks like we're in agreement then. So basically our direction here would be to go ahead and schedule work sessions with Greater Dubuque Development for their updates. Is there anything else you need from us there, Mike? No? All right. All right, motion here was to receive and file and have that discussion. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel. Farber.
Aye.
Resnick. Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Jones.
Motion passes 7-0.
Next are council member reports.
I don't know about anybody else, but there's a lot going on the last couple of weeks. Anybody want to go first? Ms. Roussel, looking in your direction.
Sure. Well, I had the opportunity once again to work at the token booth for Dubuque Main Street at Farmers Market, and I just always love to see the vibrancy of people buying fresh produce and crafts. And so again, if you haven't visited Farmers Market, please do so. And I'd also like to say thanks to AmeriCorps. They sent a large group of volunteers to Dubuque last Friday to celebrate their 30th anniversary of their program. Of course, they celebrate by doing service for our community. And we did a tree planting in partnership with the Branching Out Dubuque program. And I was able to work side by side with a group of young people that were so inspiring, telling me about the projects they had done across the country. And now this group is located here in Dubuque County to serve us. So if you see an AmeriCorps member, thank them for all that they do. And I know that some of our neighbors in the North End got some great new trees for their yard.
Ms. Rousseau? Yeah, Mr. Spring.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think a few of us had a very busy weekend. I volunteered, of course, at the Labor Harvest Food Giveaway. We gave out about 400 boxes compared to last month was 375, so something's going on. And then stopped by Blocktoberfest, which was really fun to watch kids defying gravity and realize I'm really glad I can't do that. And then eventually we ran down to go to Oktoberfest, which was a nice event down there on Schmidt Island. And then Sunday, spent the afternoon with the Alpine Mobile Home folks, and they agreed to formalize and create a neighborhood association. So yes, busy weekend, but thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Spring. Ms. Wethel?
Many of us were at the Boards and Commissions picnic this week. We had a great night up at Eagle Point. By the way, the planters were amazing, so kudos to our staff. It was a spectacular night. And pleasure to get to be with people who so generously serve of their time, our city, our people, inspiring people. If you want to hang out with some cool people, go to a Boards and Commissions picnic. It was great. This weekend also on Saturday, Outside the Lines Art Gallery sponsored the Great Draw, which is a chalking event down off Main Street by their gallery. And it has not yet rained. And so if anyone wants to go down and see the amazing chalk, there's anywhere from, I want to say the youngest participant, maybe about 3 or 4, to professional artists who create just a breathtaking walk of a street. And so don't miss it. Go down and see it before it rains. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Just say that everything Katie said about the Boards and Commissions picnic was true, and if you'd like to go to that picnic, we have openings on many boards and commissions that could use some good citizens, and gee, you got a picnic at the end of the year. And we wish you got more, but we really appreciate the folks that give us information in small bites that we can digest readily and get through a lengthy agenda like this. Thanks to the more in-depth study and work that the commissions have done to get the information to us in more digestible fashion. So it's a big deal. It's important community service, and at least once a year for an evening in September, it's a lot of fun.
Ms. Farmer?
So just ditto on the comments about the City Commission picnic and also about the park. Ribbon cutting, and also I wanted to give a shout out to Adrian and her team for the work that was done for the Parks and Commissions and Committees picnic that was had, because I know that took a lot of work and it was so well done, and I think, as everybody has said, it was really a fun night and enjoyed and appreciated by all, so thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm. I just have a couple things. There was a couple of events that really sort of celebrated the culture of what Dubuque is. There's some stuff that's been around for a long time. Oktoberfest was one of them. Nobody told me when I ran for this position I get to march the keg out, which I think is one of the best days of the year to be able to do that. It's just so much fun because it's the one day I get to wear a top hat in this role. And then, a couple weeks ago, I was invited to welcome international students. There was an event that was sponsored by both GDDC as well as the Community Foundation. and just welcoming international students who are here at our various colleges. The international student population during and right after COVID took a major hit. And it was something that I've heard colleges talking about quite a bit. Our air service issues have not helped with being able to draw international students to the community. So the fact that we now are welcoming a pretty large number of international students back to Dubuque and hopefully growing, and then we get to couple that with an announcement on air service is actually a pretty exciting time. So that was great to be able to see them. Lots of smiling faces, very excited to be here in Dubuque, and that was really fun. That same night I went and I know Mike was there as well. The Nathaniel Morgan Memorial Group had a service and a discussion at the Dubuque Museum of Art, and that was a really great time to be able to talk about a part of our history that we are learning more and more about in real time, which is the history of Black Dubuquers and people who have lived here for a very long time, have a very long history, and being able to celebrate that more and be able to talk about it and talk about the challenges that have come with that too, I think have been really good. I did give my State of the City address on Friday, and in general, had an extremely long list of things that we've accomplished in this past year. And when I say we, I mean all of you and everybody that we get the opportunity to work with and the whole community in general. I mean, writing that was a lot of fun, because to be able to talk about all the different things that we're doing, it's a really exciting time to be here. And I'm very happy to be serving with all of you and doing that. On a not so fun note, I just want to make sure I mention this before we do go into our closed session for the evening. A couple weeks ago, I had to talk about an incident of political violence in our country, and I have to do it again tonight. We had another apparent assassination attempt on former President Trump. It's all unfolding currently as we speak. The details are coming out. We have got to find a way forward in how we can be able to work together as a civil society again. We are struggling to do that. In this town, we're doing a really good job. It takes work. We've talked about that a little bit tonight. It takes a lot of work, and I think as a body, as a governmental body, we are doing a good job in providing a very good example for people to follow. I encourage us to continue to do that. But I also encourage those that are preparing to vote, examining who you want to vote for, having discussions with people about that. Have discussions. We don't need to fight about this. We can discuss it. We're pretty divided in what we think right now as a country, and this city is no different. But it doesn't mean that we can't talk to each other. So continue to have those discussions, continue to be civil about it. We need to condemn political violence in all its forms, no matter how it comes. And it doesn't matter what party you're on or what side you sit on, we need to condemn it. That's not the way that we should be acting as Americans. And that's not a healthy democracy. So let's make our democracy healthy together. So with that, I just hope that we can find a better way forward than what we've been seeing in the last several years. So thank you for a good meeting tonight. We do have a closed session, so I will entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, before I make that motion, is State of the City on city video?
It is posted on video, yeah, so people can watch, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll move that the City Council go into closed session in accordance with Chapter 21.5 of the Code of Iowa to discuss pending litigation and purchase or sale of real estate.
Second.
Got a motion by Jones, second by Roussel. For the record, the attorneys that the City Council will consult with in on the issues to be discussed in closed session are City Attorney Crandall Brumwell and Assistant City Attorney Jason Lehman. Adrian, sorry, would you call the roll?
Sprank.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Farber. Resnick.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh. Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. We are in closed session.